All right then. There we are. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back to Broke Boys Tier 2. As we near the end of the season, and the end of this game as well, or league racing on this game. Tonight we are in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, for the penultimate round of the season, round 17. And starting off with a rather anticlimactic announcement, as Wardy himself is absent tonight, meaning that he can't defend or keep the championship alive until next race. So Deepti Paul is gonna be Broke Boys Tier 2 champion this season. He's not yet in the lobby, or is he? Anyway, he is champion. He is in the lobby. Speaking of Deepti Paul, he will be starting at the back of the grid because he got himself a quali ban in round 15 at Abu Dhabi after an incident in qualifying. So he will start at the back of the grid, along with some others with a quali ban, but that's going to be interesting because Jeddah is not the easiest track to overtake. You know, it has 3 DRS zones at the end of the lap, but you don't going to want to go side by side in the first sector. So that could become quite interesting. He has to keep his nose clean, which is always gonna be a challenge in the back of the field. Anyway, starting off with qualifying, a lot of drivers on their out laps, or just about starting their laps. One of them is Zimniak on the mediums, as we have seen him do that plenty of times before, and doing it once more here in Jeddah as well. Walls are very close, so wouldn't be surprised if there was going to be some sort of yellow flags later on tonight. Good evening, Wardy. Great to have you as well. I think Sakir is on the lap as well. He's right behind Zimniak. Oh, getting a bit out of shape though on the exit, nearly going into the wall. Would bring quite an early end to his qualifying, but he managed to keep it out of the barrier. Now entering the final sector. This chicane is always a bit tricky, especially with the curb on the outside. If you go too hard onto that, you might run wide or find yourself in the barriers. Keeping it nice and tidy just about, as Allens is the first one to set a lap time, 27.8 though. To start off with, Zimniak will cross the line now on the mediums as well, so he's right behind him actually, and Sakir is in P3 at 27.9 on his banker. Not the greatest laps to start off with, but puts him in P3 regardless, ahead of Pry, who is on intermediate, so that's never going to be anything close to what we would see. Josh Washman now into P1, and it's incredibly close, even at the start of this session already. 27.8 for the Alpine driver. And 7 Dead settles for 5th place at the moment, but then gets quickly replaced by Skullkiller, who gets replaced by Charles as he moves up to 3rd place. Already quite a lot of lap times being set. Oh, and we see a spinner, and it's Frenchy on the intermediates at the end of the 1st sector, or at the beginning of the 2nd sector. The Aston Martin is round. I think it was on his flying lap, although can't really call it a flying lap when you're on intermediates. Either way, not an optimal start to your race, to your night. Hopefully an exciting race ahead for sure. Yesterday Tier 1 was a great race as well. Great battles throughout. Not even a single safety car, I think, or I think there was one safety car. Yeah, one at the end, which bunched everyone right up. It's going to be a fun one for sure. Jeddah is always a tricky circuit. Great battles, great DRS battles in this final part of the lap where we see Frenchy at the moment. Material Germ about to start his first flying lap in the Haas. Let's see what they can do. Heading into turn 1, a quick chicane. Well, not really quick. Tricky on exit though, but you can run quite wide within track limits. And this next turn, turn 3, is always difficult. The wall on the inside is so incredibly close to you. And even if you turn it just a little bit too early, it could be the end of your session. And it's fast flowing corners, and you don't want to be running on that curb on the exit, because you'll get dragged off the track, and it will ruin your lap. Despite that, the game says Material Germ has a purple sector 1. He keeps on pushing, even though his rear light is flashing, so I don't think he's got ERS turned on. As Alpha Wall is another one to start his first lap. Navigating through the first few corners. Getting extremely close to the walls, and he is well just a little bit on the curb. Could lose you around a tenth of a second, but managing to keep it on track. So a pretty decent first sector then. A long left-hander, a bit banked as well. Can carry a lot of speed through there. And these few corners are just about getting so close to the wall, but not touching the wall. Now in the first of the 3 consecutive DRS zones. Ooh, running a bit wide. Still managing to keep it within the white lines, up to the 2nd DRS zone, the longest I think of the track. It's not really a straight line, but plenty of battles will certainly happen there. And now into the final corner, tightening on the exit, very close to the wall once more. And that's going to be across the line, and what lap time is it going to be? 27.9, which puts him in P3, and look how incredibly close it is. He's 8 thousandths of a second behind Allens and 2 thousandths of a second ahead of Charles. So despite this early on in the session, the gaps are already very small, the top 5 within a tenth of a second. This pole position really could go to anyone. As now Raiden across the line, and he is absolutely blown the field away because he's just done a 27.3, which put him half a second ahead of Josh Boschman. I think Pulse Ray has got himself a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Skoker. And there is Tortoise, or was it Skoker? Skoker has just got himself a 5-place grid penalty as well for a collision with Tortoise. Not some what has gone on there, but someone has got damage. I saw a bit of front wing, a bit of carbon fiber. That's quite unusual. Tortoise, yeah, he has got front wing damage. The front left end plate is missing. So there's Skoker and Pulse Ray with the grid penalties. In the meantime, Sauce in Williams has put in a P2 to make it a Williams front row at the moment. Which is a good start. But Raiden has a pretty clear advantage at the moment. And with neither Wardy or Paul in this qualifying session, really could go to anyone, as Ziemniak now crossed the line for his second lap, this time on the softs. And it's 27.5. And there comes Sean, and he goes to provisional pole position with a 27.1. And we're getting closer and closer to the 26. Yesterday's pole time was a 26.0. Don't think we're going to get any close to that. But we might see someone get into the 26s. Track conditions could also be different as well. So we see Tent Cannon now in the middle sector. One of the few drivers left to set a lap time. Charles has gone up to P3 in the meantime. A 1 minute flat in the middle sector. Love to see it. Now she goes on the back straight, getting very close to the inside wall. Bry's gone up to P3, Frenchie up to P6. What can Tent Cannon do coming out of the final corner for a first flying lap? Across the line for 27.1, and that is provisional pole position on your banker lap. That's an incredible job so far by the McLaren driver. Almost a tenth of a second clear of Sean at the moment. And that's a very strong banker lap. So we see Paul Stray back out on track. Pulled back into the pit lane after he received a 5-place grid penalty. So he knows we will start somewhere near the back of the grid. Despite of his qualifying position. Along with AMG and Paul, who both serve their quali bands. And I think Lil Dieter 1 is also one of the drivers with a quali ban. So Pulse Ray about to start his lap. Yet to set a lap time. One of the few drivers, one of one actually, because Lil Dieter 1 will not set a lap time. Probably stay in pit lane till the end of the session. Rain inbound, says Deepti Paul. That would be a first here in Saudi Arabia. Rain in the desert. I'm not sure if it's true, but we'll see. It doesn't seem to be raining anytime soon in qualifying. You never know. The chances might be slim, but they're never zero. So we ride on board with Pulse Ray. He's getting near the end of the middle sector. And 1:08, so almost a second off Tent Cannon at the moment. But if he nails this final sector, you might be able to get into the 27s, but it's going to be close with Skoker and his teammates probably. Let's see what he can get out of this final sector. probably around P13, P14, let's see. Or does he nail the final sector across the line? And it is P13. Just about in the 28s. In the meantime, I think it was Tortoise across the line into P4 on his debut tonight. One of the ones to watch for sure. Showing some good pace. 7 Dead has got into the top 10. P9 at the moment with a 0.6. Plenty of drivers in pit lane at the moment, waiting for their final laps in the final few minutes of this qualifying session. Material Germ improving by over 2 seconds and across the line to stay in P17 despite almost a 5-second improvement, but he's now well into the 28s. 10.5 behind Skokiller at the moment. The Skokiller will also have a grid penalty. So both Alfa Romeo drivers will start at the back. Unless Skokiller can find a magical lap time to put him near the front. Tenkanen for her second and final attempt. Starting her lap time. Oh, getting out of shape, coming out of turn 2. Lost a bit of time with that. Very close to the wall. Struggling with the rear grip. And I think she has backed off. She can do another lap if she has any fuel left in the battery. 1.1 second off, so certainly backed off. 7 Dead retired from the session. He will not go any higher than 9th. See if others around him can improve their lap times. L5 Wall was on an improvement, but he backed off as well. I think he got a bit of held up there by the Alfa Romeo in front of Skokiller. So now take a look at Sakir, who is in the middle part of the lap. Currently P14, not where he wants to be for sure. Most of the times he's quite high up on the grid. Has been able to get the lap in. Improving by a second though in the middle sector, and this is on for a 26. If he continues this into the final sector. Was purple in the middle sector. Can he find some more time in this final sector? It's only a chicane and a hairpin. Nailing it on the exit. Currently in P14 with a 27.9. Can he get into the 26s across the line? He can, he certainly can. With a 26.8. Puts him 3/10 clear of anybody else at the moment. Sean, not an improvement in the first sector at the moment. 1/10 of a second off. Let's see what Raiden can do as well. With a very solid bank lap as well. Tortoise retiring from the session. So P5 at best for him. The flag has fallen 2/10 up. Raiden in the first sector. He's on for a very good lap at the moment. Charles has invalidated. He's only 7th at the moment, and it won't get any better for him. As Tenkanen is barely down on her time. Allen's across the line, only 12th, despite an improvement. Fry is flying as well. What can Sean do across the line? He wasn't improving, and he's going into the pit lane. So Sean not able to improve his lap time. Now Tenkanen, can she find a little bit of time in the final sector to get her any higher up the grid? No, unfortunately not. Not an improvement. Let's see if Pry can manage anything. Up to P2, the front row, only half a tenth off. As Frenchie moves up to P5, what can Raiden do across the line into P3? Just about in the 27s, not quite enough to get himself on the front row. And is there anyone else up for a challenge? Ziemniak up to P4, that's a very good lap. Barely a few thousandths of a second behind Raiden. Josh Boschman, not an improvement. Sos in the Williams has put it in 8th. And I think that's about it. And that means that Sakhir has secured himself pole position at Jeddah with a 26.813. Half a tenth ahead of Bry in the Red Bull. Raiden in 3rd place ahead of Ziemniak by a few thousandths of a second. Then Cannon in P5 ahead of Sean, Frenchie, Sos, Tordos and Charles rounding out the top 10. With 1,000th of a second ahead of Alvi. Was very close for sure in the top 10. That is qualifying. We've got DPT Paul in P18, but he will gain 2 positions. I think he will start P16 after Skull Killer and Pulsus Ray his grid penalties. And there you can see it in the bottom of the screen. Final results. Aston Martin 1st and 7th on the grid. Josh Boschman in 12 ahead of 7 dead in 13th. Quite a disappointing session, I think, for the Ferrari driver. Both Ferraris actually. Pulse Ray, of course, with grid penalty will start in 20th, and Skull Killer will start in 19th or 18th. But either way, at the back of the grid, along with his teammate, and our champion DPT Paul will start in 16th position. Let's see what they can do for the race. It will certainly be tricky in the midfield. And Paul's race grip penalty, not really fair as the grip penalties, as he ran straight into the back of Skull Killer. And Skull Killer was not on a lap, Paul's Ray was. And the Alfa Romeo tried to get out of the way last minute, but unfortunately they collided. And Paul's Ray got a grip penalty for it. It's very unfortunate. But it does mean that he will have to start from the back. There doesn't seem to be any any rain, at least at the start. It's going to be a tough race to keep it out of the walls for 25 laps. It's certainly a challenge. It's a very unfortunate grid penalty. You can't do anything about it, unfortunately. We'll have to try and fight back in the race. I expect at least a safety car or two, with the walls so close together, so close around you. Here we go then, we're about to start round 17 of the season at Jeddah. The 5 red lights are on, and this is not a good sign. I don't like this, and I don't like this either. Safety car has been deployed. Safety... Huh? Alright. Safety car start. Unfortunately no... watch out. Unfortunately no... jump starts. Not the first time we've seen this happen. And how has Pry taken the lead then? That's okay. Good to see him giving the position back. It's very great to see. So and Deep Ball is up to P8. Not sure how that happened, but that's surely not meant to happen. And was he RAI or something, or was it a glitch? But he's gained 8 positions because of it. So a lovely way to end off the season, or one round remaining after this, but yet another safety car start. We've seen it in Abu Dhabi. And there we go, Deep Ball giving back the positions that he illegally got. Great to see the sportsmanship between these drivers. It's a bit of a kerfuffle up here though. Not sure what's going on. Just keep on driving. Can't do anything about it, unfortunately. Most of the positions have been given back. And on the next lap, the safety car will go in. Now we'll have a chance to take a look at the tires. If I can find the setting. There we go. Sakir and Raiden on the hards. And basically the rest of the top 10 is on mediums. Besides for Charles, who's on hards. Tordos is the only one on soft. Deep Ball is retired from the session. What's going on there? Our championship leader was about to say, but our champion has retired from the race. And his game was apparently glitched. And now he's retired as well. So amazing to see. Anyway, 7 dead, Josh Bushman, Alpha Eyeball on hards, along with Skullkiller and Pulse Ray, and the rest of them on mediums. It's not the way you want to start a race for sure. A bit of an anti-climax to celebrate your championship. To get a glitch in the game and forced to retire. You hate to see it. Anyway, safety car in this laps. We're about to get this race underway in a few moments time and get it underway definitely. Sakir is the one to lead the field. Didn't go that well last time out in Zandvoort though, but hopefully he waits long enough for the safety car to actually pull into the pit lane. Better safe than sorry. Don't want another massive pile up and a half that takes out 6 or 7 drivers. Anyway, and there we go. Green flag racing. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is underway with Sakir out in front, and he's got Pride chasing him on the mediums. In the background, see Charles giving back position that he gained at the safety car start. Already seeing some moves made. Two Alfa Romeos swapping positions. Co-Killer now up to 16th place. Oh, and 7 dead at the moment. I think he has probably clipped the curb. Meanwhile, at the front end, we've got Sakir being overtaken by Pry. And Pry has taken the lead on lap 3. And the Red Bull is now in the lead, and he's on the mediums. He's got the tire advantage, and Sakir is on a little bit wide, and that has affected his exit of the corner. Raiden is going to take the position away, and Raiden is now up at the 2nd place. And Raiden is also on the hard, so this is a real on-track position gained. Meanwhile, a bit of a side-by-side moment between Zimniak and I think it was Tant Cannon going to the final chicane. They're incredibly close together on this back straight. Sakir having a go on the inside of the final corner. Wheel to wheel with Raiden. Don't want to fight too much in this early stage of the race. But he's going to do it regardless. As they're going wheel to wheel. And now Zimniak is trying to find a way past there. 2 by 2 by 2 now into turn 1. And it's a bit of contact, but they're managing to keep it together. What is going on? Look at this. They're a huge gaggle of cars in the first sector. Can't go side by side through this corner. Please don't do it. Oh, and they've done it. And that is Sean being spun around. They're still going at it. Frenchie's at the moment. He's lost a position or 2. Material Germs is out of the session. It's absolute carnage here at the back of the field. Sean is back on the way, although not sure if he has damage, but he is down in last place. Yeah, could have seen that happen from a million miles away when they go wheel to wheel into turn 3. It's an incredibly tight corner. Going side by side through there is always going to be trouble. Meanwhile, while Sean is down at last, had a bit of a mare in this on lap 4. His teammate Pry has created an advantage of around 2 seconds to Raiden. And in the process, Sakir's actually lost a few positions as well. He's about to lose another one as Tortoise goes around the outside and up to P5. He's on the softs as well, so would expect that in the opening stage of the race, although he went a bit wide out of the final corner, actually hitting the wall. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any damage to his front wing. And he's going to try and close the gap to the cars in front and get into that DRS train to help him close the gap and stay with them while his still has this tire advantage. At the moment, Zimniak is struggling to hold on to the back of Raiden despite being on a softer tire. So Raiden is looking pretty comfortable at the moment on hards. He's actually closing the gap to Pry a little bit in the first sector, down to 1.7. And Zimniak is barely within the DRS range, and now he's out of it, 1.1. Using a lot of his ERS to try and stay close. Tant Cannon will have DRS. Don't think she will go over the move just yet, and maybe wait for one of the next 2 straights. There we go then. on the run into turn into the final corner. Not sure what number it is, but Tent Cannon round the outside. And she is now up into P3, although Ziemniak is still on the inside. But Tent Cannon has a long way around the outside. And that is a position gained. And up into the podium places. And she's now got within DRS range of Raiden as well. That's gonna be crucial in this race, to stay within the DRS range of the car in front. We see Jos Bosman move into the top 10, getting past the Aston Martin of Frenchie. They're fighting at the back. Oh, and Tortoise is out of the race. What has gone on there? Has he clipped the wall on the inside? I think he has. And I think that was the front left wheel gone. And the AlphaTauri driver has clipped the wall in turn 3, I believe. And that is both AlphaTauris out of the race. Whoa, what a slide from Pulse Ray. That's high drama at the start of the race. And AlphaTauri, after winning the overall Constructors Championship, the Tier 1 Championship, this is going to hurt them in the Tier 2 Constructors Championship, because Alfa Romeo can now gain quite a few points, although at the moment they are in 13th and 15th position. I think Alfa Romeo are 30 or so points behind going into this race. So they'll have to gain a few positions in order to actually close that gap, as Tent Cannon is gained another position. And she's now found herself into P2 ahead of Raiden. She can now maybe try and close the gap to Pry. And hopefully for Raiden, she can try and pull him towards Pry. In the background, we've got Sakir and Charles going wheel to wheel. And Frenchie and Jos Bosman, the other two, Aston Martin and Alpine, are going for it as well. In the background, Charles is now up to 5th. Wheel to wheel with Sakir, but you can't go side by side through here. We've seen that a few laps ago. And that's Charles up to 5th position. Frenchie stays ahead of Jos Bosman for the time being. Meanwhile, Pulse Ray has pulled into the pit lane. Oh, and Sakir has run wide, and Ziemniak is out of the race. Ziemniak actually crashed coming out of this turn as 7 dead. There he is, Ziemniak, he's done, the Mick Schumacher. And that's yet another top 5 runner out of this race. What has gone on in this race? And once again, no safety car. That's unbelievable. What is going on in this race? Charles is now up to P4, Alan's up to P5. I think it was 7 dead who had a moment. Skokiller is now up to P11. And that's our 4th retirement already on lap 7. As I said, the walls were close around here, but well, not that close that you need to touch them. So we see Allens move up to P4. McLaren is having a good race so far. In 2nd and 4th at the moment. And Tent Cannon is slowly closing the gap to Pry, 1.4 at the moment, and Raiden is staying within the DRS range. Try and get himself closer as well, and he's on the hard, so he has the profit of this as much as he can at the moment, although big slide on the exit of turn 2. But keeping it straight, keeping it pointing in the right direction. And most importantly, staying within the 1 second gap. Well, a bit of a run wide of Frenchie on the corner where we just have seen Ziemniak retire. He was running in such a high position, but it all fell away from him on lap 7. Now looking at both Aston Martin, and once again Sakir running very wide in the final chicane. He mentioned it before the race that he was expecting to get himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits by running wide off the final chicane, and we've seen him doing a couple of times. And his teammate is now passed and up to 7th. Frenchie is on the mediums though, so it's not really a surprise that the pace is there at the beginning of the race. But Sakir is coming back at him though into turn 1. Two Aston Martins going for it, and Sakir is now back up at the 7th. He will try and close the gap to the cars in front, but he's been struggling. But another car in the wall, and it's Charles this time in the same corner where we've seen Torres lose it. And that is another top 5 runner out of the race by crashing out into the wall. This is unbelievable. What is going on in this race? 5th retirement on lap 9. This is I can't describe this. This is unbelievable stuff. They can't seem to keep it out of the barriers. And there's still 16 laps to go. Quite a difference to Tier 1 yesterday, where we think we only saw retirements in pit lane. That's unfortunately not the case tonight in Tier 2. I've seen quite a few drivers retire due to a crash or some sort of incident. McLaren and Williams, they are having a brilliant race so far. Both of them are in the top 5, chasing one another. The Sauce on his debut, I think, in Tier 2. It's right at the back of Allen's. Meanwhile, the Aston Martins swap positions yet again. This time it's Frenchy now up to 6th. And they getting out of shape, coming out of turn 3. But keeping it together. And the mediums might start to fall away on lap 10 already. Pit window was around lap 12 or 13, I think, from for the medium hard strategy. And meanwhile at the front end, 10th Cannon, she has closed the gap to Pry, and we've now got our top 3 within the same view. Pry still out in front, half a second ahead of 10th Cannon, and Raiden right behind the Raiden's got 90% ERS left compared with the 25 of both cars in front. And Raiden is on the hards as well, so right now having very good cards for the win tonight. Could it be? Could it be a double win for Williams tonight, as we see not going wheel to wheel into turn 3? Watch out, we've seen so many cars collide or crash out, and they're going at it in the S's, and that was about to go wrong, and it is gone wrong, as Allens and Sus come together in sector 1, and Allens has found himself into the barriers, and he's got a bit of damage to the front wing. That has dropped him all the way down to P12. Could have seen that happen. Going wheel to wheel into turn 3, yeah, it's never going to go well. And once again, it has not gone well. And it was turn 4, I think it is, where they made contact. But anyway, yeah, that's what happens when you try to go wheel to wheel in sector 1. It usually ends up in an incident like this. Is 10th Cannon gonna go for the move? Is she gonna go for the lead? We're nearing the pit window, I think, for the medium runners. Probably one lap, or maybe even this lap. We want to go for an undercut. Meanwhile, 10th Cannon within DRS range, and she's staying behind for now, lifting off. Tactical game. It's always around Saudi Arabia. DRS chicken, it's what you can call it as well. Try and stay behind until the very last lap, and then go for the move. And days is about to get worse for Islands. So going into the pit lane, getting themselves a 5-second penalty for speeding as well, and he has to replace the front wing. They getting from bad to worse. Meanwhile, Lil Dida 1 in the Alfa Romeo has also pitted, one of the first medium runners to make a pit stop from mediums to hards. Try to get it to the end of the race. Oh, but getting into the wall on the exit of turn 3. Not sure if he's got damage because of it, but tires of course still cold on the out lap. Having to be a bit more careful to try not to put it straight into the wall. So we see Alpha High Wall move up into P6, into the top 6. Ahead of Josh Boschman, who's having a good race, actually. And it's now re-overtaking Alpha High Wall. He now is back into the top 6. So we see the top 2 staying out for yet another lap. And Sauce, I'm Drunk in the Williams, is not doing that. He's pulling into the pit lane on lap 12 onto lap 13. Going onto the hards till the end of the race. 12, 13 laps to go. Basically the halfway point of the race. And he will come out in P10. Way ahead of Frenchie. And way behind Sean, who had an incident in the opening few laps. Trying to recover from it, but he's still in P9 and yet to make a pit stop. And one of these gonna put it into the pit lane. I'm guessing Prima, Storm and Tent Cannon are gonna go into the pit lane this lap. Raiden actually can go into the pit lane as well on lap 13. You can make it to the end on mediums. We saw it yesterday as well. Lap 13, lap 14, around that from hards to mediums. It's very doable. And these medium runners have done 12 laps on them as well so far in this race, and about to make it 13. And Brummerstorm is staying out, but Tent Cannon is coming in for an undercut. Raiden going out for another lap as well. They've got quite the gap to Sakir in P4, so they might as well stay out and have the tire advantage later on in the race. Sakir at the moment is getting overtaken by Pulse Ray. Which is a lapped car, which is odd to see. But a lot of more drivers putting it to pit lane. Josh Boschman, Alpha Wall, Skull Killer as well. And they're all going on to a set of mediums, not Tent Cannon. She's gone on to a set of hards as she started on mediums. Let's try and see it till the end of the race. Ooh, and there we see the first track limit penalty, and it's from Frenchie in the Aston Martin. 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Well, here we see Sean trying to have a go at 7 dead. Still yet to pit. Let's see if Prime Storm and Raiden are going to put into the pit lane on this lap. Prime Storm is staying out, and they might actually go on to well, soft is to stay out for many more laps. And Raiden now taking the lead on lap 15 with the help of DRS. Up to P1, Sakira into the pit lane as well. From hards, presumably onto mediums. So Sean has made the move as well. He's now back up into P3. But among with the other drivers, other 3 drivers in the top 4, still yet to make a pit stop. Sakir coming out of the pit lane, right behind his teammate, who's on 4-lap older tires and on harder tires as well. We've got yellow flags behind. Who is it? Who's at the moment? Not sure. Yellow flags ahead. Oh, and it's Frenchy who's at the moment now. Has he clipped the curb and ran wide in sector 1, I wonder. But he's now down to 12th position out of the top 10. Oh, and he's got damage to the front wing as well. The front left end plate is missing. So we're a little more happened than just running wide. Did he maybe come together with his teammate? Who's on a fresh set of tires, a 7net. Re-overtakes Sean. Raiden and Primal Storm are staying out for yet another lap. Are they going on softs at the end? They probably could if they keep this up. Raiden for sure, since he's on the hards, and Price mediums will get worse and worse compared to the hards. As Frenchy pulls into the pit lane. Same for AMG in the Haas, who was on 8 lap old softs, but he's got damage to the front wing as well. So not really a mandatory pit stop then for the Haas driver, nor for Frenchy, who had to replace his front wing as well. And they dropped down to P13 and P14 respectively. On the head of Pulse Ray, who's quite a bit behind. Lap 16 then, and finally it's gonna be pit stop time for Raiden and Primal Storm. Oh, and Raiden has got himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's gonna ruin it. That's gonna ruin his chances of winning this race. That is so incredibly unfortunate, and Primal Storm has gone on to softs. Is Raiden gonna do the same? No, he's gone on to mediums then. So I'm not sure why he stayed out for that long then. Could have put it on a few laps ago. Tent Cannon is now in front by a few seconds. Shakir setting the fastest lap of the race. Raiden actually coming out right behind his teammate. But he gets out of the way and nicely can actually play a role in fending off Primal Storm through certainly the first sector. Here comes a Primal Storm. We'll have to go the long way around the outside into the hairpin. Is it going to work out? He's going to try it and round the outside, and with the tire advantage, it's quite an easy move. A bit of contact though between him and Sauce, but in the end, it's job done for Pry, and he's up into P4. And now right in between the two Williams drivers. And Raiden is 4.7 seconds behind Tent Cannon. But let's see if he's going to be able to close that with the tire advantage. But Primal Storm has his other rider East. Here he comes around the outside with the help of DRS, Slipstream, bit of ERS. They're going to go wheel to wheel, and Primal Storm takes the position. And he's up into P3, and it's another moment for Frenchy, who has had a moment stopped on track. And I think he's lost his front wing entirely then. We've seen him do it a few laps ago. This time completely lost the front wing. Or does he? Oh no, he actually doesn't. Lost the front wing, he still had it. No damage then. Looked like that with the POV we saw. But Primal Storm now up to third. Half a second behind 7net. It won't take long before him to get overtake him, and there you go. 7net with a bit of a mistake at the end of sector 1. And then it's Pry up at the P2, 4.4 seconds behind Tent Cannon. And it's gonna be between these two, Tent Cannon and Primal Storm, as Raiden's 5-second penalty. It's gonna absolutely ruin it. Unfortunately, you will have to hope for a miracle to be able to win this race. He's following closely to the back of Pry. And is Pry actually gonna fight it? No, he's not. Oh, although he's having half a look on the inside. Don't want to do that when you're trying to catch the car in front. Don't want to fight each other. So now there's 4 positions once more. And Pry is up at the P2. Gap is now down to 3.6 and we've got a safety car has been deployed and Pulse Ray is out of the race. He's had an incident somewhere and that is gonna that's gonna spice it up, because Raiden can actually get his penalty removed, although it will drop a few positions, but I'm sure everyone else is gonna pit for softs. It's gonna be this is actually quite similar to yesterday's race in Tier 1. Where they had a safety car on lap 18 or 19. Well, 10th Cannon up surely. I wouldn't be so confident about it right now with the safety car. It's basically going to be equal for everyone. One thing though for Williams is if Raiden pits for new softs and Sauce wants to pit as well, they will have to double stack, and if Raiden has to get a 5-second time penalty removed, Sauce will lose a few positions because of that, because you have to wait for around 10 seconds. So let's see who's going to go into the pit lane and who's not. I expect basically everyone in the top 7. No point in staying out. 10th Cannon, there she goes into the pit lane. Same for Primus Storm, same for Raiden, same for Sauce, same for Sakir. And then probably the same for Josh Boschman and Alpha Hype Wall. Oh, not for Josh Boschman, he's staying out. Josh Boschman will get himself into the lead of the race. And we're about to see an a painfully slow pit stop for Williams. Not only for Raiden, but for Sauce as well, as we see. Have to wait a full 5 seconds before they can change the tires. And all the while, his teammate has to wait. Wait even more. And now we can put into the box. And will he lose the position to R5 Wall? No, barely. Stays ahead, so actually didn't lose a position because of it. Raiden has lost 2 positions. And he's down to P6. Primus Storm is onto mediums. That's certainly not going to help his chances of winning this race. So it might actually still be very possible for 10th Cannon. If she can quickly find a way past Josh Boschman. I'm sure he didn't expect to be leading this race at some point. But there he is in P1 on lap 20 out of 25. So Frenchie is pulling into the pit lane for a new set of softs, actually serving a 5-second penalty as well. Safety will stay out for at least another lap, because Frenchie is just in the pit lane and the rest of the cars are already in the final corner. So at the end of lap 21, maybe even 22, I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait a bit to try and resume this race for a micro sprint till the end. So Josh Boschman, the only one on who stayed out on older tires, 7 laps old mediums, and everyone else onto a new set of softs except Pry. He's gone on mediums, a new set of mediums. Let's put a bit of a buffer between Tent Cannon and the rest. And 7 Dead is actually in a great position, despite his poor qualifying performance. Let's see where there are 9 positions gained. Well, Josh Boschman 11, but I'm sure he will drop a few come the end of the safety car. 7 Dead from P13 up to P4, and he has a chance. He has a chance to win this race. Safety car, I think, will stay out for one more lap. At the end of lap 22, we will go in for a 3-lap sprint. So we wait for Frenchie to catch up. And AMG and French decide to go for another pit stop, because why not? Safety car will go in anyway at the end of this lap. I think there's a maximum amount of laps to be behind the safety car. No, it doesn't matter if they catch up or not. It will go in, regardless. We're nearing the end of the lap. We're about to go back to green flag racing to the end of this race. It could be any of these drivers. It could be anyone. It could become quite hectic for the win, or a podium, or points, anything. I'm sure they'll fight for it, and it will probably be till the last lap where it will be decided. The last lap, the last straight, the last corner, maybe even to the line like we saw yesterday. Safety car in this lap, and we're going back to green flag racing shortly. Josh Boschman is out in the lead, but he's on old mediums. All the others behind him are on fresher, newer, better tires to try and fight for the win. We've got 3 laps of racing remaining. The safety car has pulled into the pit lane. It's now up to Josh to decide when to go. And he's gone, but Tent Cannon is very much awake at the restart and is going to try and go for the move immediately into turn 1. Employs the ERS, the slipstream into turn 1. So that's the defense from Byron, who's trying to go for the move side by side into turn 1. Josh Boschman is trying to hang on. Now around the outside, it's very close to the wall between Josh Boschman and Tent Cannon, and she's staying behind. Oh, and there's contact behind 7 Dead, running into the back of Pry, and that is both of them out of the top 3. Sakira is now promoted up to P3. Still some drunk up to P4. Raiden is down to 6th, up to P5 now. I'm not sure what's going on there. But high drama already at the lap behind after the safety car reset. Josh Boschman is absolutely fighting for it, but Tent Cannon round the outside and that is her regaining the lead of this race. With only 2 laps to go, now she has to try and pull a gap as quickly as possible before everyone else catches up and overtakes Josh Boschman, who is whoa, and Stoss is going for the move into this fast left-right chicane, wheel to wheel contact. Sakir runs wide, but the Williams is now up to P3. Yellow flags behind once more. The Haas of AMG has been involved in an incident as Frenchie and Allens have crashed out. Oh my goodness, what a crash on the back straight. It's absolute chaos at the safety car reset. Only 12 drivers left in this race. We're moving up to the penultimate lap of this race. Tenth Cannon is leading by 0.8 of a second. Surely that's going to be enough. The gap is only going to grow to Josh Boschman, who is on these older medium tires, especially through this first sector, where he's losing a lot of time. 1 second is the gap now. All Tenth Cannon has to do is keep it out of the barriers and bring it home. She's got no pressure from behind. Ooh, I think Stoss touched the wall there at the end of the first sector. Can't quite go for the move just yet. It's pretty difficult to overtake in sector 1 or sector 2. He's having to wait till the end of the lap. That's where everything happens. And the fight for the final 2 podium positions is going to be epic. Oh, and that's a moment for Raiden. Has he got damage? As he came out of the first of the final 2 chicanes. And I think he touched the wall as well. He's now down to P6. Just Boschman has got absolutely no ERS left in the battery. And here comes Stoss and the Williams. The ERS will be enabled on the final lap of the race. Is he going to go for it up the inside on the final corner? Not quite. Although Josh Boschman leaving a bit of a gap on the inside. Now on to the start-finish straight. And Sakir is closing in as well. In the Williams, not going to go for it. Sakir trying to round the outside into turn 1. This is for P2 in this race. Possibly, or the final podium positions. And Sakir has found a way past. He is now up at the P3. And Nihao now has the best cards for P2 in this race. Sean has retired from this race as well. 11 drivers still in this race. Absolute bloodbath. Oh, and I think Stoss has run wide. He's now half a second behind Sakir. Sakir has run wide as well. Now Raiden is trying to have a look. We've had the most ERS of anyone of these guys. Meanwhile at the front it's pretty comfortable for Tenth Cannon on the final lap of this race. A few weeks ago I should say, in COTA in the United States, she won her first race in Broke Boys. It was a historic moment for the McLaren driver. And it's about to happen again as Sakir has found a way past Josh Boschman. And now Raiden is going side by side with the Alpine as well. The fight is here for the final podium positions. Raiden is right behind the Aston Martin. He's got his teammate up the inside. Tenth Cannon is going to come across the line to win in Saudi Arabia. Now there's a spin at the back with absolute chaos at the back. Sakir comes home in second, Raiden in third. What has gone on there? Alpha Hival in P4, 7 that. Lil Dina 1 in the Alfa Romeo in 5th. Primus Storm in 6th. Skullkiller in 6th. That's good points for Alfa Romeo. But Josh Boschman and Stoss, I'm Drunk and Williams, have collided on the final lap in the final corner. Absolute madness in Saudi Arabia. That was insane. But Tenth Cannon, for the second time this season, wins the Grand Prix as she crosses the line first in Jeddah. Secure another 25 points. Which is getting her closer to P3 in the championship. So at least you get it to P4. She's still quite a bit behind Raiden, but 10 points gained, and still 1 race to go. But Tenth Cannon is victorious in Saudi Arabia. Sakir, in the end, in P2 with the fastest lap, gets 19 points. Raiden, P3 with the overtake on the final lap as well. 7 dead in the end, despite coming together with Bry after the safety car restart. Finishes in P4. Ahead of the 2 Alfa Romeos who get very crucial points for the Tier 2 Constructors Championship. Lil Dida 1 in P5 ahead of Skull Killer. Primus Storm in 7th, unfortunately got spun around. Alpha High Ball in P8 ahead of Josh Bushman, who had an incident with Stoss in the Williams on the final lap, in the final corner. AMG splits these two and gets a point in the Haas. And that's the only 11 runners in the end. 9 DNFs with quite a few incidents, which will surely be talked about after the race, which is now, to be honest. But Tent Cannon wins with Sakir in P2 and Raiden in P3. Drivers' Championship has been wrapped up even before this race. Deep Depal, of course, the Tier 2 Drivers' Championship, Drivers' Champion, despite not finished this race, unfortunately, after a glitch in the game at the start. But still an incredible job this season to see him win the championship quite comfortably ahead of Wardy. But the Constructors' Championship is still very much not wrapped up. Before this race, AlphaTauri was leading by 34 points, but with the P5 and P6 from Alfa Romeo, that gap is going to close to around 16 points going into the final race. Going to be interesting for sure. It's been quite a chaotic race tonight. With, plenty of incidents, but a great race either way, and a great win for Tent Cannon. She absolutely nailed the safety car restart and the first stint as well to bring it home and secure her second win of the season, going into the final round at Shanghai, which will be next week. But anyway, that's been it for tonight. That was Jeddah. Bit of chaos, bit of fun. But next week we'll be back for the season finale at Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. But until then, we'll see you later. We'll see you next time. Goodbye and have a nice evening. Adios.